So, hello and happy new Resonant Seed, you everybody. We're back with another edition of the Quantum Compass.
Hi, welcome back. We are going to talk about the new 13 moon calendar year that we have just started about 4 days ago, and we'll give you everything that we have connected to the totem animal and what we see for this Wavespell.
Right, so we just passed the day out of time, July the 25th, and as we've just said, we started a brand new solar lunar year of 13 moons of 28 days, which comes to 364 days, which we would traditionally call something like a normal year, but we're starting on July the 26th. So we're going to be covering what this means because we have been showing actually over the last year or so the different moons, and Bella's been introducing them, but we're going to be focusing on the 13 moons a lot more strongly over these next 13 moons for a whole variety of reasons that we're going to get into now. But this is the first quantum compass of this new resonant yellow seed year. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today. And as usual, bring all of the usual threads together and perhaps give you a little bit of overview of what we anticipate coming in the next couple of weeks and maybe beyond into the rest of this year.
Shall we get into?
So without further ado, we'll get into our usual presentation. And we've got a few new things to share with everybody today, but I'm going to hand over to Bella as she talks us through the key points.
Right. So the new cycle, the new 13 moon cycle, it has an energy that is the year bearer, and it's called the yellow resonant seed. And we're going to talk about what does that mean. We're also going to talk about the wave spell of the blue monkey, which starts on August the 2nd, and it lasts 13 days. And we're also going to talk about the totem for this moon, which is the bat, and a lot of information about that. Really interesting. I'm fascinated by it. And I know that many people are a little bit scared about the bats, but they are so important. I want to talk about that a bit more. So this year, which is from July 26th to July 24th of 2026, this is the energy of flowering, of our potential within, of connecting with the seeds, of a gestation process. So a whole year where we're going to gestate not only our own consciousness, but any project that you feel you're ready to embark on. Right. So we talked already a little bit about this. I just want to say that with this energy of the resonance seed, it's about awakening our consciousness and to bloom spiritually.
Right, and as we've kind of just traversed it, we can look back now and say, thank goodness that the year of the storm is over and that we're still here, we're still shining, we're still happy, and we're still doing Quantum Compass. It's been a tough 12 months or 13 moons with the year of the rhythmic storm, but now we can start to look forward to everything that Bella has just outlined and plant those beautiful seeds of new earth.
And when we talk about the resonant tone, the yellow resonant seed, resonant means number 7, the tone of alignment and attunement. And it's absolutely beautiful that as we have reset to start this new year, we are doing this as we go through the column, the mystical column, and it also aligns our energy, mystical column. So we are doing a double recalibration and realignment, not only of the Solkin or sacred round, but also of the 13 moons.
Right, which may explain why so many of us have been feeling aches and pains in our bodies, perhaps as part of a central alignment or recalibration, not just of our spiritual and emotional selves, but down into the physical form too. Judging from the amount of pain we've been in the last few days and the amount of messages we've been receiving from everybody in our tribe, it seems that this is a thing that is going on. So we're not 100% sure, but I think that this gives us a bit of a clue.
Well, more than anything, it tells us that this whole year we want to think about our personal attunement, our channel, our mystical column, our vessel, the chakra system, to work on that system and to keep on realignment, having that in our mind all the time. So maybe have some practices that help us realign, like Kundalini yoga or any other types of yoga, Tai Chi, anything that will help us in that process of attunement. Right, so we're going to start talking about the 13 moons. And the 13 moon calendar, it can also be followed as a wave spell because it has the 13. You can see, you can even do this, print out this slide and just follow the 13 moons and the 28 days around it. because this Wavespell is the form in time of universal life. And universal life means that everything is alive. We're reconnecting with the cycles of life, of nature, of the earth, of the cosmos. And so everything, the biology, the cosmos, everything is connected to this frequency of 1328 and 1320 when we talk about the soul kin. So it is a fourth-dimensional form of life, and it may assume the qualities of a living being. So we all have this energy within ourselves. Inside of us, we have the 13 tones with each one of our articulations. And when we realign with the cycles of the moon, 28 days, we are going back to the clock in the cosmos that is around the earth. It's like going back to the original natural time. So that's what we're doing this, because what we feel is doing is bringing that liberation and enlightenment by us realigning with the real time and the real cosmos.
Right.
Yeah. So the other thing I wanted to share here, sorry, Ben. This is the calendar in different format. We already talked about how the day out of time, the 25th of July, was a reset and recalibration time. And it was a moment when we realigned with Sirius as well. The star Sirius is also, it has been used and was used for a long time in ancient Egypt and by the ancient Mayans as well, as a moment of realignment and starting again the new cycle. So we completed a whole round, and we start now the first moon, which is called the magnetic moon. Is the moon where we set a purpose for a whole 13 moon calendar for 364 days. And it could be, what is it that you want to magnetize? And it's a goal long term. Well, 13 moon.
Right, so ordinarily we focus on a 13-day wave spell, and you only have 24 hours to magnetize what you want towards you, which is great for a 13-day wave spell. And that's really great for perhaps organizing your life on the day-to-day and ongoing storylines. But if you're working with a whole 28-day period to magnetize towards you, that perhaps suggests that you can work on something much, much bigger. And for sure, we have initiated our own project here at QPW, which we'll share a bit later on, which is working with all of these different tones to manifest something for us as a community in the 3D. So this is our big journey that we're going to embark on as a community, as a partnership, and hopefully many of you will be participating in. And this is where we get to really ease into the 1320, particularly for those of you who might be new to our channel and some of this material, in a more relaxed way. Because, you know, in the 13-day wave spell, it's every day is a change to a different tone, but in the calendar, you have a little bit more time to get accustomed to the energy.
And so you can see here in the form of a wave spell. This diagram includes the dates. So if you want to follow month by month or moon by moon, we're starting on July 26th and we go to August 22nd on this very first moon. But I'm leaving this one here so you can print it out and maybe follow the rest of the moons as well. So as we enter, we love the turtle, as we have talked about it so much. It is the last, the totem of the last moon in the 13 moon calendar, but it's a new path. And this time we're going to immerse ourselves fully together with the tribe. We're going together with the tribe, immersing into this way of being and way of experiencing time. And we're also bringing the astrology, the constellational astrology. So we're going to be with 13 moons, the 1320 frequency and 13 constellations to work with the intention of realigning ourselves, our DNA, and our mind to that new way of being.
Right, so as we've been talking about before, pretty much since we've been doing this channel and these videos, we have perceived, and along with many other beings now, I think, that we have been trapped in some sort of 1260 cyclical circuit broken system that has kept us in slavery and was used for taxation purposes. So we never got to go to what we would say is the 13th point in a wave spell or in the moons, which is transcendence, where we get to receive the gift really of all of the hard work that we put in with the previous 12 tones, and instead in the old system we just loop back in. So that circuit was broken. We can now perceive that this has changed in our reality, but it's a change that you also have to invoke from within and to step into and to live and experience.
Yeah, because 13 is the point of transcendence of that journey that we follow. Just like in astrology, Ophiuchus and the Serpent's constellation is also that point of transcendence. So we're going to align both systems. And besides, number 13 brings back, and this lunar solar calendar brings back the energy of the feminine. So we align the sun and the moon within the same calendar because it's a whole year, a solar year, but it's also 13 moons. So we're including the masculine and the feminine into the same process as we have been rebalancing. The previous year was about balance. It was the rhythmic storm. It was about bringing those two into this process so that we now attune and realign in this year of the resonant seed.
Right. And so with that rhythmic tone of number 6, it actually gave us we can say the solution to balance our way on the middle point through that storm year, because a lot of that was really about getting pulled left or right into polarity and all of the things that we have been given to get us triggered in our world these days. And so we had that sort of opportunity to bring things back to balance, particularly masculine and feminine, which also opens up a different part of our consciousness. We can say the Christic consciousness, or we can say the 6th dimensional realms of unconditional love and compassion and so on. And I love this image you have here, Bella, of the turtle, because, the turtles are the great wanderers of the sea, the tortoises, the great wanderers of the land. But also somehow when we look at the water and the sky, it's kind of one and the same thing. So when we see the turtle,
mirror.
It's the mirror, right? It's the cosmic mirror, and the turtle is able to straddle both worlds. So yeah, I really love that image.
Right. And now let's talk about the totem for these 28 days for the magnetic moon. It is the bat. And I went on to look for the Bat Nebula, and it is in Ophiuchus constellation. Let me clarify that there are about 4 different Bat nebulas, but this one is the more clear. You can look it up if you want. It's called LDN 43, or the Cosmic Bat Nebula, and it absolutely looks like it.
Right.
And the fact that it is in Ophiuchus constellation also is pretty interesting. I found another one that is close to Sirius as well. So whether we look at Sirius and the beginning of the year and the magnetic tone, or we look at Ophiuchus as the 13, the transcendent moment, in either way, we have a couple of nebulas that are called the Bat. So here is this beautiful totem. In Mayan, the name is Sot. And this totem is going to be the guide and the energy, because it has to do with magnetizing. And we know that the magnetic moon is about unity, and is intended to unify and attract. And these beings work as a collective community. They always live as a community, and they follow sonar energy. So they use electromagnetism and sonar energy. So also they are mammals, but it's the only mammal that can fly. So it's like an amazing being. And I wanted to talk a little. Did you want to add anything?
No, I was just thinking about some of the squirrels flying through the garden, but they're falling rather than flying. But so it's incredible to think that this is the only mammal that flies. Wow.
Yes, it is. So it is quite extraordinary, and it reminds us that we can also think of extraordinary things that we can accomplish as we reconnect with the electromagnetism and as we attune ourselves. So on this moon, we want to ask, what is my goal for this year? 28 days to define that. How do I achieve my purpose? So it's a good moment to start planning and thinking about what is it that my heart really wants to magnetize at this point. So these animals, despite of being blind, they are always looking for highest illumination. And I had a bit of information about this animal, which I thought it was incredible. So even though people are very scared of them, these animals are so important for us. They are actually vital to the health of the environment and even the economy of a country, because they work with pest control, really important, and they could save a lot of money in pesticides. We could stop using many pesticides if they are capable of doing what they are, but we need to preserve them. We need to take care of them. They pollinate plants, and they disperse seeds. Look how important the connection and synchronicity between the year of the seed and this animal that is the main animal that helps us with that. So they eat insects, and there are many species. There are over 1,400 species, of which only 0.2%, only 3 of the species actually, the people are scared of them because of the blood situation. They think that they suck the blood of people. They don't. Only 3 of the species which are present in Central and South America are the ones that do this. The rest of the bats, and I'm talking about 98%, over 98% of them, no, 99.8%, they eat insects and they eat other nectar, and they provide pollination for plants like peaches, cloves, bananas, and a very important one, agave, which is the one to make mezcal and tequila. So it is the only animal, the sole pollinator for agave.
Wow, so without the bats, there's no mezcal.
There's no mezcal, there's no tequila.
Okay. That's probably the most critical
cool.
piece of information in this show, everybody, right there.
So they eat fruit, and they're part of the role in the ecosystem is so important because they disperse the seeds. They do about 95% of the work of dispersing the seeds. So just think about how important they are to the ecosystem and to our life.
Right, and also I know from personal experience that bats like to eat one of my number one issues in my garden, which are mosquitoes, which actually are always at their peak in this part of the world during this month. And I could really do with a few bats in my garden right now because the mosquitoes are intense. So that's also interesting, right? That this times in with a time of the year when the pests are actually really, really strong because of the amount of sun and rain that you may have been having if you live in some parts of Europe. And so that pest control perhaps has got a little bit out of whack due to the proliferation of electromagnetic frequencies in our world that not only distort the world of the birds and get them off key when they're migrating, but perhaps also are affecting these natural pest controllers. And again, yes, it wouldn't be great if we had natural pest control rather than pesticides.
Right. So to wrap up the information about the bat, so it's a good moment to think about a new purpose, a new life, a new cycle. What do you want to learn, or maybe it's in the area of relationships, or anywhere that you want to focus your energy. This is the moment to do it. The bat also represents to connect with our intuition and our psychic powers. And for ancient civilizations like the Mayan, they were the messengers between the living and the dead. They were part of the underworld story. For the Australian Aboriginal, in the Australian Aboriginal astronomy, they also have a bat, a constellation. In the Chinese culture, they think of them as good luck and good fortune and happiness. In Peru, they are also connected to fertility. In North America, the bats are guardians and protectors. And in Japanese culture, they ward off demons and diseases. So it's a very important animal that wants to be here, like showing us how important it is and how we need to take care of this being.
Right, and also from my own culture, the Celtic culture, they're also very much connected to liminal spaces. Of course, dusk is when they tend to appear, which is very much between the worlds. And so these are animals in the Celtic world that were understood to, bit like the owl, really, inhabit both worlds and often connected to death and rebirth in the underworld as well.
So just to wrap it up, let's think of the womb space for these 28 days. These animals live in caves, very connected to the earth. So let's think of it as the womb space for that moment of rebirth, transition, and we're going to start our journey once we come out of this process.
Right, which is really beautiful because this video is coming hot off the back of a video I just did with Leslie looking at the Mercury Cazimi activating some stars. And in that, we're also focusing on this birthplace really from the galactic feminine womb. And so the bat is also giving us this idea of rebirth right now, which is really cool because we've just had this day out of time and we've just started this new year. So the energy of rebirth is really, really strong. for all of us who want to step into this space and use this next month to start magnetizing the things towards us that we'll want to manifest in 10 moons from now, right?
Beautiful. So this is just a little bit of images to remind us of the amount of cycles that we're connecting here. We're connecting the tones, the Solkin, and also the 13 moons. And the layer after this is the stars when we talk about the constellations.
Wow.
So well done for all of you that follow us and are so multidimensional and can follow all of these different threads. Anything?
No, you can carry on.
Right. So this is a Wavespell, and we are starting at the heart of the sacred round or soul kin with kin 131, and we'll go up to kin 143 with the blue monkey energy running from August the 2nd up to August the 14th. We're also in the third castle, the blue castle of transformation, and this is the third wave spell of the third castle. So this is the energy still of transformation when we align with the Solkin. I've highlighted here the glyph. And so this is the wave spell. It's all about magic as well. So when we talk about the qualities of the blue monkey, it is inviting us to be more playful, to believe in magic again. The blue monkey is also the artisan, the time weaver, the scribe, the trickster as well. But all to do with artistic expression and being in your child connection, divine child connection. So innocence, pure and joy and innocence and transparency. Anything else?
No, the only thing that's catching my attention here is that we have 4 blue glyphs at the 4 corners of this waist, but I've never noticed that before. I don't know if there's some relevancy.
Every wave spell has these 4
Is that right?
pillars. Yeah. So in the color of the beginning of the wave spell.
I've never noticed that before. Yeah. And this is the beauty of working with this system, is that the more you work with it, the more you start to see patterns appearing, which you can only really perceive by following it day in, day out, as we do, and by living with it. And even now, after several years of working with this, I hadn't really realized that that every Wavespell has the same color of the initiator in each of the 4 corners of the structure or the castle, we could say.
Yeah.
Wow, interesting.
So with the blue monkey, there is also some shadow to pay attention to, which is being sarcastic or being too serious or misuse of humor, insensitivity, and not speaking your truth. And to transform all of this energy, as I was saying before, reconnecting with our inner child or healing our inner child if there is still something to heal there, bring back laughter and joy and something that makes you smile every day, at least for these 13 days. Think of something that you love to do, even if it's watching a comedy or talking to one of your friends that is really funny, or something that brings some of that into your life.
Right, and just laughing to myself inwardly that coming from Britain, we tend to specialise in sarcastic humour, and so perhaps this is a chance to observe yourself if you are a little bit that way inclined, and perhaps just to flip the energy into a higher octave.
So that's it for the Mayan part, or the this part of the 13 moons and the Solkin.
Right, so here just a reminder for everybody that Bella did a wonderful 6-part course, Mind, Time and Magic, which really is the nuts and bolts of how all of this works at a foundational level. It's a great reference guide, and many of our tribe have done this and refer to it back all the time as a reference guide. It has all of the different glyphs, the different tones, but it concentrates particularly on the 20 different glyphs, right? So we have that, and also want to introduce this, in case you haven't already heard about this. We've been sharing a little bit on our channel already with a couple of videos. It's already gone live, and that is The Legend of Turtle Island, a 13-moon almanac to life as a new Earth pioneer. So hopefully with all of what Bella's just shared, you'll understand what this is meaning in some ways. This is going to be a 13-moon journey, 364 days. And each moon, we will be releasing a different transmission, particularly from Bella's side. There will be the transmission of the totem animal. So she's going to be doing a deep dive into all of the corresponding energies and interesting aspects of both the bat and how it relates to the magnetic tone of number 1. We're also going to be introducing the 13 star altars of Creator from the Lakota tradition, as well as looking at correlating aspects in the astrology, cosmology, plants and trees, and also the Knights of the Round Table. table, which if you've watched the video from the cosmic history codes from yesterday, you'll understand a bit more, has just got activated through the star Persepi and relates to a lot of our internal technology and also our own encrypted protection for our sense of self on the internal planes. So a lot more to share about all of this, but just wanted to bring this into everybody's awareness. We are running a special offer right now, which actually concludes with the beginning of the Blue Monkey Wavespell. But this is, of course, or we can say really a journey. It's a year-long journey at any point, really, but particularly during the first month, we'd recommend it so that you can jump in and follow the flow. This is a creational tool that we're sharing here. We've been showing how to do this in a 13-day Wavespell, but now we want to work on a much bigger, longer-term project, and both for ourselves, for our community, and obviously inviting all of you, our followers, into doing the same practice, either with us or maybe in your local communities, wherever you are on the planet. And as a turtle tribe, we love working with the energy of Grandmother Turtle, and the legend of Turtle Island is a real thing, which we will be exploring through the course of these 13 moons. So there you have the kind of the quantum spiritual aspect, the legend of Turtle Island, but then you have the day-to-day guide, which is very much in the mode of an almanac, which is what farmers and gardeners will use to track the stars and the moons and other things that will affect the growth of their plants, which is kind of really pertinent considering this is a seed year and we want to be planting literally and metaphorically and metaphysically.
Yeah.
So I've already shared this slide before. I'm not going to go through it again, but this is for those of you who might be coming at this new. Definitely hit pause at this point and have a read through that, or you can go over to the website and have a look at the details and the video there. So I just wanted to put this up so people who might not have seen this can have a read through in their own time. So as usual, my job in the Quantum Compass is to have a look at the astrological transits, and as we've been sharing before, we are moving from a transition really from the Western astrology to we can say the true sidereal or the constellational astrology. And we are in the process of upgrading our software, having a few tech issues there right now. So big shout out to our colleague Afin Commenti with his Zodiac system there. And really what we're trying to do here is just show the same information, but from the two different perspectives. It's a little easier to read sometimes with the chart on the left, although we are really...
we got used to it.
Because we got used to it, right? But what we're also finding, and perhaps we'll do more on this at some point, is that we're finding that the Western system is perhaps not serving us as well as we think that it does. It somehow seems to project us into the future and is programming us into a certain set of coordinates that we don't really need to be working with because we haven't got to that place yet. So this whole idea of Uranus moving into Gemini is already creating a lot of polarity in our world, as if we didn't have enough already. And we're seeing the rise, particularly of AI and various other tech and things that maybe on some level can serve us, but also maybe on other levels aren't. But if we look at the sidereal constellation astrology, we're not at that point yet. And so it's already been called in ahead of time. So we're starting to understand that maybe the Western astrology is not serving us in this way, and it's better to be as above, so below.
So yeah, let me just add a little bit here, because many people have been asking us about how do we switch and why are we switching and the whole thing. And part of this cosmic shift is at the realignment with the sky, with the true sky. And as you said, as above, so below. And when we go into constellational astrology, we bring the number 13, as we've been talking about. There is a really good tool called a stellarium for us to go and navigate the stars and to see where exactly is the moon, where exactly is the sun, and we see the real positions. And as we align with these cosmic forces, we are following the celestial rhythms. All of these stars influence us. But if we are working with an artificial framework, which is what I'm thinking more and more the Western astrology actually is, then we are out of sync. Just like we are with the Gregorian calendar, we are also out of sync if we just use the Western astrology. So it may be useful for some things, but I think that more and more we need to restore the knowledge that is being fragmented and forgotten. And when we think about the Mayans and the ancient astronomers, they were looking at the true sky. They weren't looking at an app or a system. So with the Western astrology, it's like a crystallized framework that is not allowing us to evolve, also because it has the number 12 as part of it. It is detached from the celestial reality. The archetypes actually don't reflect the sky. And so it has people co-creating a reality that doesn't reflect the cosmos. And as I said, it keeps us out of sync. So if we think of astrology as a technology for our empowerment, our sovereignty, to co-create, we need to make sure that we're aligned with the true one. So that's part of what we're doing here.
Right, and as Bella showed that image earlier on with the mystical column and getting realigned, perhaps that's why some of us are experiencing some of these physical discomforts as we get realigned to a more true alignment. And as above, so below is a thing. Many of us talk about it, and kind of a little incoherent if we're saying all of that, and then using a system that is offset and misaligning us. So we run the risk of upsetting lots of dyed-in-the-wool Western astrologers, and we've used this system ourselves for a long, long time too. And it's awkward. We understand it's shifting from something that you've become very, very accustomed to is awkward and inconvenient, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it. So this is us. We've said this quite a few shows now, and thank you to all of the support for this. We're on a new journey where we've just had our astrological charts read by our colleague, Dr. Danny, who will be interviewing next week as part of our YouTube offerings and talking a bit more about this. But really, we kind of anyway have been looking less at the signs and the houses in Western astrology and looking more at the transits. And the transits still hold true no matter which system you're using, but we can have a different constellational filter, which definitely is more interesting now for many of us as we're understanding that the constellations and the stars in those constellations are offering these neutrino informational data packages, which we're receiving into our system, into our body, which is activating our own etheric DNA light codes.
Exactly.
So this is, from our point of view, super exciting, but also more coherent. And if we're going to do it that way, we want to understand where is that energy coming from actually, rather than a distortion.
And the goal is to achieve harmonic resonance, not only with the Mayan cycles that we're talking about, but also with the stars. And if we think that we are like tuning forks, we're receiving the energy from the planets and the constellations, but we need to make sure that we're looking at the right frequencies, because if our mind is thinking of something that is offset here, then we're not doing the natural cycles.
Right, so all of that said, I just want to pick out a few key points for this Wavespell. The first really is not so much related to the astrology, but actually to the rollout of the Wavespell itself. And we have another one of our Pakal Vatam prophecy days. I think we're up to maybe number 8 or 9.
I think we're on the 8, yeah.
Right, so there are 13 across the course of a solar lunar year, and we've been tracking them because we understand that they were signs that came during the time of Pakal Vatan that were important to him. And because everything is a loop and a delta in time, or at least it has been due to the Atlantean time tsunami and the fragmentation of time, what he was really doing was giving us a clue as to when to look for certain dates or certain glyphs that certain things might happen. Well, this is quite a challenging glyph because it's the lunar tone, which is day 2, which is going to be about catalyzation. And if we think about it literally as humans getting catalyzed, we could understand that this could be a lot of inner turmoil, tumultuous information, which when we come to the next slide in a minute and look at Mars, we might get an understanding of what might be going on. Many people have been reporting deep psychological distress over the last couple of weeks, lots of interference into the mind space, into meditation space, into the dream space. That's not the scope of the conversation today, but just acknowledging that. I did put out a little short about that today. If you are experiencing some of those things, you're not alone. And many people, particularly the sensitive sorts, are experiencing that. So if we run that into the collective mind space, we could understand that maybe people less equipped might be having some kind of experience around that time. Make of that what you will, but it's obviously important because it's one of the prophecy days. Following on from that, just a few days later, the Sun squares Black Moon Lilith, just to make sure that we're really getting the message of whatever it is that we need to learn. And then we move later into the Wavespell where we have a full moon in traditionally what would be Aquarius. But if we look down here into sidereal, we can see that it's actually happening in, I believe, Capricorn. So we can see that there's a different offset of the energy here, but we've put the coordinates here on the left because it's a little easier to read the asteroids and the other bits and pieces that we want to highlight. And
we're still looking for somebody that makes a really good software that can include all of the asteroids as well.
right, well, we have knowledge of that software system, but it's not actually available at the moment due to some tech issues. So we're still struggling with that, which is why we have these simplified versions. But rounding sort of coming towards the end of the Wavespell, on the day of manifestation, we have a really, really beautiful conjunction that is happening in the Western astrology in Cancer, but it's more about the fact that Venus is conjuncting Jupiter. This is always a nice conjunction, two really beneficial energies, and really beautiful that it's happening on the day of manifestation in this Wavespell of the monkey.
Mm-hmm.
Anything you want to add there, Bella, at this point?
Yes, about the Venus-Jupiter conjunction.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is one of the most beneficial aspects, as we all know, and it can bring joy and optimism and love and abundance, enhance any romantic relationships, brings creativity and inspiration, just like in the Blue Monkey Wave spell, which is also about creativity and inspiration, and the spark of the artistic expression, also just like in the Blue Monkey.
right.
So it's a good opportunity to engage in any creative projects. And as we're talking about with the next layer, with the moon, it's a good moment to start thinking about maybe you have a creative project that is an important day to do something symbolic to put the seed of that project that you're thinking about. Also, to think about generosity is also connected to this conjunction, helping others, working in community. And that's pretty much it. I love that it is kind of very synchronized with the Blue Monkey energy.
Right, and that's the beautiful thing, and it's one of the reasons we love doing this show is that the more we look at everything through these sort of fractal filters, the more they just keep layering the correspondences in a coherent fashion, and that's really the core of everything that we live by, that we try to teach by in our tribe, is find the coherency in something. Because once you find that, that's when the natural alignment will happen. That's when flow and synchronicities can start to manifest, not just more easily, but more consistently. So if we have a little look at some of the other key points on this full moon day, and we can see here, over here on the left, that Venus is coming into conjunction with Jupiter. This is for the full moon, just a few days ahead of that. And so there are a couple of other things
What
here.
about Quetzalcoatl?
Yeah, so you beat me to it there. So we can see, I mean, we've already had a direct exactitude Quetzalcoatl Cazimi actually a couple of weeks ago, but I've been tracking this asteroid and it's pretty much moving at the same pace as the sun. So it's still only 4 minutes apart. The sun has already passed Quetzalcoatl and is going to continue to move slowly away, but we're still absolutely banging this energy.
So what I love about it is that Quetzalcoatl is also part of this Pakal Bhutan prophecy. So it is bringing the new time. It is getting us to pay attention to the sky. And one of the Mayan prophecies is that once we pay attention to the sky and change the way we measure time, that's when we start the whole process of evolution and ascension. So I love that synchronicity of Quetzalcoatl.
Right, and there's also a deep link which we'll probably explore more across the course of these 13 moons between Quetzalcoatl and Venus and the 13 star altars of creation. So again, as we unfold into this 13 moon almanac, the legend of Turtle Island, we're going to be layering all of these correspondences each moon every 28 days with these different aspects, all of which are going to come together to help create our own internal quantum structure with quantum compass points, but also something that we can take into the outside world and use in different ways. So I think that it's really cool that we have this basically ongoing Kazemi almost really with the sun and the feathered serpent. So that's super interesting. We also have Black Moon Lilith and Vesta getting together traditionally in what we would call Scorpio. Black Moon Lilith is feeling a lot more happy these days, I would suggest, after having gone through a lot of processes, being released from the underworld. She is now working, perhaps we can say, more fully with the light and the rest of the goddess energies, perhaps as represented here by the overarching Sophianic principles, which we would perhaps say are the more holistic, fully integrated aspects of the goddess. And lo and behold, our good old friend, the warrior priest, perhaps a reincarnated Templar, is doing what he's best at and protecting the goddess in his warrior priest fashion. So I think that's really beautiful. And it's also, at least here in the Western astrology, in the Sagittarian energy. But of course, we'll have to wind it back to see how that's actually playing out in the skies above us. So you can see that we're still having to make these adjustments ourselves. And really, I think the most important thing here is that Hidalgo is again protecting the goddess. We can also look at a few other interesting conjunctions before we get to the real bruising aspect of Mars in a minute. What I love here, Bella, is that the North Node is having a long conversation with our friend Quercus. The oak, right? And I love this idea because the oak is so full of wisdom, is so full of that kind of regal lion energy, the noble king who is in service to the people and doesn't need to take anything and just provides that space for the beings to live either in the tree or in the kingdom or the queendom even of the realm that they're living in. And so Quercus is informing our future about how to live in this way. To live like the oak tree is really a high aspiration, I would say. If I can be anything like the oak in my future incarnations, I'll be very, very happy.
The oaks live?
Well, a really, really old oak. I mean, there are quite a few different species. I think some of the oldest oaks I've ever met are about 1,000 years old, which if you've ever met a yew tree is comparatively young. But if you meet 1,000-year-old oak, you can feel the wisdom in its gnarled old branches. So, so we also have that going on. And also over here, interestingly, Sedna and Uranus now coming into almost an exactitude conjunction there, and perhaps also with that in opposition really to the Hidalgo and Sophia conjunction, we can understand that there is a big shakeup perhaps coming from the feminine world, and perhaps Uranus is going to be the harbinger of whatever that shakeup might be. But considering that Black Moon Lilith has been released from the underworld and is now enjoying more of the holistic energies of being the goddess again, I would suggest that this is something incoming that's going to be beneficial, something of a universal abundance nature, perhaps. What do you think?
That would be good.
It would be really, really good, right? So we'll leave the chart there. If you want to take screenshots of it, please do. There's a lot more to investigate there.
Do you have another one for the full moon?
This is the full moon.
Okay, so I just wanted to add that if we look at the chart on the right, we're looking at the constellational astrology, and the full moon will be happening in Capricorn. So if we think of a full moon in Capricorn, then we're thinking about being more practical, the importance of responsibility, a good moment to focus on what we want, long-term goals, just like the moon of the magnetic moon.
Right.
The importance of having structures in our life. So maybe part of the meditation over this moon is what kind of a structure do I want to have in my life from now on? You can completely change the structure of your life and start thinking about how you can look. It's a good moment to evaluate commitments, to let go of any emotional baggage, especially to do with career and approval, external approval, public life. Goal setting is a very good moment to continue to do that goal setting that we've been talking about. With more determination, which is the energy of Capricorn, and to be more practical in the decision making, especially that we know that Mercury is going to go direct, so there will be more clarity on that part.
Right. In fact, I didn't include that here in the notes, but Mercury will be going direct during this Wavespell as well. So I've done a separate slide for this, which I've kind of somewhat humorously called Mars Kicks Off. And that's kind of perhaps being a little bit unfair to Mars because he does actually come into some harmonious aspects, but he has 3 days really where he's getting to chat to quite a few people. And of course, I love these kind of conversations between the planets and trying to decipher perhaps what the conversations were about. And it really starts on August the 8th when Mars has a nice trine with Uranus, which starts the process. But then it goes into the more tricky part before it kind of moves out.
So with that trine, we're talking about taking risks and being more spontaneous. That desire for freedom is what it brings. to pursue your passions. That is the energy of it. To be more assertive and to connect with innovation. Maybe you get downloads or new ideas or something unpredictable happens. More dynamism, enthusiasm, and maybe inspires new experiences. So to be more kind of willing to take a risk and move forward with a new idea that may come.
Right. Well, in many ways, that kind of explains what comes next. So we can see over here Mars, and then down here Uranus in that trine. So, excuse me, all of that inspiration is going to be there. But then Mars meets Neptune and Saturn head on. Boom.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, there might be tougher transits in the astrological world, but I would say that Mars meeting Saturn at this moment is kind of like, hey, I've got all of these great ideas and I want to kick on and I want to be in New Earth and I want to plant seeds. And then Saturn says, yeah, but no, I've got a different idea. And then if we think in the old traditional ways of astrology, Mars and Saturn were considered to be the two malefics. Now, in New Earth, we don't really want to think of anything being malefic or malevolent.
No.
So we're always trying to find the higher octave. So on the 9th, Mars opposes, I mean, this is to the exactitude, but it's basically already ongoing. Anyway, Mars opposes Saturn, and then later in the day, I'll put the times here in universal time, Mars opposes Neptune. Now, we were talking about this earlier, right, Bella? And thinking, how does this play out? Well, perhaps this is where Mars has to do some navigational stuff.
So I think that what happens there is that maybe you have an idea and you feel like I'm ready to go forward, and then that opposition with Saturn is like you feel blocked, like, oh, I can't really move forward. But I think the key here is to have a clear intention and to know that if you bring responsibility and a clear intent, you can work with this aspect.
Right, and so what I'm also noticing with this is that Mars goes into this trine with Pluto also. So we've kind of got this interesting rectangle going on here anyway between these different points because Mercury is also getting pulled into this a little bit too. But if we see that Mars is having this opposition against Saturn, we could say that that's the young, youthful energy of new ideas and wanting to get on, and Saturn being the old codger, the stooge, and saying, no, I don't want to do that. This is how
There's
we've
no
always
time for that.
Right, yeah. Let's keep it on the down low. We'll just keep doing things as we've always done them because hey, that worked for me, and I don't really care if it worked for you or not. Which is why Mars is a little feisty about it. All of which, if we think about the world we live in, I guess we can probably understand a lot of frustration from a lot of people. But then here is the side door. So Mars goes over to chat to the other ruler of Scorpio and say, hey, maybe there's another way of doing this, right? Can you give me the intel on how we get round Saturn? What is it that we can negotiate with here? How do we navigate this? And of course, we also have Neptune here, who at the higher level is always trying to bring us into the realms of the spirituality. So if we get this combo right, we can fuel a shift in the structure of our own lives and our own world with all the things we've just talked about, but also sharing that into the collective of working with the Mars energy of getting things done without it necessarily having to be a full-on head-butting fight, which perhaps in the old matrix, old paradigm with this kind of opposition, it could have been. So if we look back to 2020, for example, you can get some of the ideas of how that might have looked. But we've got Neptune here wanting to elevate the situation. And of course, due to this rectangle that we've got going on here, Pluto is in a sextile to Saturn and Neptune, which is how Mars is able to get around it and have a chat. And also, Mars can pick up some intel from Mercury. It's like, hey, you had a chat with the sun the other day, and we got these neutrino codes coming through from Persepi and Giza stars. Which way do we go here? So we've got all of this information that Mercury's already picked up, that he's whistling over the wall to Mars. Hey, I've got something that might be useful to you. Mars is like, great, let me have a chat with Pluto. We'll come up with a plan. And then when we go to meet Saturn in this head on, we've also got Neptune on our side trying to dissipate some of the energy, and Saturn perhaps being lifted and not being so grumpy and stuck in the way and saying, hey, you know what? Maybe I'm also open to a change here that elevates the world that we live in, and so that Saturn can move into a new expression.
I think we have very good aspects.
I think
Look
so
at
too,
the
actually.
trine of Pluto, Mars, and Uranus. And when we think of that trine between Mars and Pluto, I think it brings us and helps us with more empowerment and determination in the long-term plans that we're doing, more energy, motivation, more passion. Some great ideas could come through that Uranus there. I think this is actually a very good aspect that we can work with.
Right, and of course, this is really very close to the chart we just looked at. So many of the same transits are in play. So that's really it for the astrology for this month, and that's really it for most of the show. Did you want to pull up anything else, Bella? Or
No, I think
okay.
that's it. Unless you want to show the stellarium so people start.
Ye-
We are doing our research. We're reading the books connected to constellational astrology, looking at the stars, looking at the stellarium, Skynet, and any other app that we can find that will help us see exactly where the sun is. Like we can see here, it is in Cancer and moving into Leo.
Mhm.
So we love this, and you can go here to change the dates, I think. Yeah. So, and what I was showing to David is how you can actually start seeing the movement of the moon. Did you see it move here on the left?
Yeah, there it is.
So,
Yep.
and you can see on, if you go up to the 9th of August, you'll see how we are actually on a full moon when it is actually in
Capricorn.
Capricorn. So we're playing more with this, and this is a movement of the moon as we go over the Wavespell. And we invite all of you to look at the stars and to find some apps and to start looking at the real and the true sky, because that is the idea. From now on, we want to be fully aligned and in harmonic resonance.
Right, so it's all new learning, and perhaps in New Earth, we're learning about how to be new types of beings working with different information, different inputs, and perhaps being more orientated to the natural compass points, as above, so below, as within, so without. And I think for us both personally, that's quite an exciting prospect, particularly as we see that the chaos that the collapse of the old paradigm is now offering up with lots of pretty incoherent narratives, really. If you look this way, it doesn't make sense. And if you look that way, it makes even less sense. All of which is perhaps a cue to go to that sort of fifth dimensional aspect of Persepi that we were talking about in cosmic history codes, to receive this kind of more celestial, cosmic, constellational star energy, which is just another aspect of ourselves in many cases, which can then illuminate and activate our inner world and give us different compass points that are much more elevated, much more multidimensional, much more aspirational, much more inspirational. And so a lot of what we've been sharing today is coming through this filter. We're learning to use a new methodologies, new modalities. We're having to go back to school again and learn. And also there's something really nice about that, because it's fun, but it's also humbling to go and learn something and say, you know what, I used this for a long time and it sort of worked, but now it doesn't really work for me. And it takes a lot of courage actually to put aside something that you've been doing for a long time and say, hey, yeah, maybe it's time for a change. So for all of you out there who've been involved in the ongoing conversation in the comments previously, please continue to do that. So we're also very much, as many of you have realized, in this kind of transition phase ourselves, and we're open to it, as indeed we are open to many new things here on New Earth during this year of the yellow resonant seed. So, yeah, final reminder and prompt. If you made it this far, you will receive a golden compass. I found an emoticon in the chat box that we can use, and we've been having fun with that on our live calls recently. You know who you are from the live call on Sunday. But if you made it this far, well done, everybody. Please do hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. And also leave some comments about how you're experiencing the energies right now, maybe what your intentions are moving forward, and of course, whether you're going to be joining us for the Legend of Turtle Island, the 13 Moon Almanac to Life as a new Earth pioneer, where we're going to be expanding on all of these things as we expand into the totality of our holistic cosmic human selves.
Yeah, and as part of these setting of goals for and setting a purpose for these 13 moons, do it individually and also put an intention for the collective. What do you think can be accomplished by humanity this year that would be amazing and it would be for the highest good of all? And also with the energy of the blue monkey, let's bring back magic and innocence and playfulness and allow your heart to open more to more of these ideas or whatever your passion is.
Right. And you don't have to say yes to everything in life, but sometimes it's nice to say yes to something new and perhaps not be like Saturn, which can be a little narrow. And it's like, I don't believe that. It's not scientific. I've not seen the evidence. Because in the end, Great Spirit doesn't really work with evidence. Great Spirit works with imagination. And we can all step into the space of expansion through our imagination, which is also allowing us to connect to the stars and many other things. So imagination is only limited by yourself, really. And in doing so, we offer ourselves the opportunity to expand into something much bigger than perhaps we currently perceive ourselves to be, which I think is also pretty exciting. So that's the invitation that we've definitely accepted, and many of our tribe too. And we hope that many of you out there maybe will join us on that journey over the next 13 moons.
That's it. So have a wonderful Wavespell of the Blue Monkey and a wonderful 13 moon year. And we'll see you soon.
In Lakesh,
In
I am
Lakesh.
another you. Bye for now.